Alright guys, welcome back to another Tech Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to be going over your CB axles and your rear upright bearings and some of the things that we do to clean them and prepare them and maintenance them. We're using the 1UP Red CB joint oil. It's great stuff, really good for high temps. We're also using the 1UP Clear bearing oil, lubricate the bearings. And then we're going to be using the anti-wear grease 1UP Gold. This one is really good at friction wear, especially on the ends of the dog bones that go into the differential. So we're going to start with just cleaning this with a brush. Toothbrush is fine, anything that's not going to mar or damage the metals. And we're just going to try and get as much of the loose dirt off as we can. And obviously there's going to be some residual oil from the last maintenance that might still be caked on there, or collected dust and whatnot. So you just keep working the part around in your hand, keep brushing, hitting it from different angles, especially down here in the ball section of the CB. You want to make sure that you're rotating that axle around, you're hitting all ends of that, getting as much of that loose dirt out as possible before you disassemble. And disassembly on these is real quick. You remove the cover, pop out the pin. There you go, the cup's empty. You just brush it out, and then brush out the ball end. Next, we're going to do a light brushing on all the bearings, just getting any loose debris off, real quick and easy. And then now we're going to grab our red CB joint oil, and we're going to start reassembling the axles, putting our pins back in. And this is a very easy process to do. It's something that you want to do often if you drive often, just as general maintenance to keep everything lubricated and moving the way that you want it to. These particular axles are the D-like axles, so they are able to compress down in size and go up in size, depending on how you adjust your rear arms. So with these, I like to put a little bit of oil on the surface there. Eventually we'll wipe it down so that way the layer is very thin and we don't have a ton of oil sitting on there. But for right now, I like to just make sure that it gets on there. Now we're going to use the 1UP Gold. It is a grease. It's an anti-wear grease. So a little bit on the end, and then I just rub it in, work it around. You don't have to have a ton on there. A little goes a long way with this, but it just helps protect those pins and help protect your drive cups from ovaling out over the time. Alright, so moving on to the bearings, we're going to use 1UP Clear. And this just helps push any dirt that might still be inside the bearings out and through the bearing. A lot of times I'll add and then come back and add more, and as it soaks through the bearing, you'll see dirt start to collect on the paper towel. You'll also can take like a Q-tip and rub them down. That can get more dirt off of them, but basically we're just going to keep adding till we start seeing the oil come through the paper towel, and then we'll flip them over again and start adding more oil again, so that way we're just trying to push out as much of the dirt as we can, but also to lubricate the ball bearings inside, making sure that everything's lubricated and moves well. This is the biggest hang up that you can have with a car sometimes, is your bearings giving out. I've seen it happen in competition where a guy's bearing explodes and now he's out of the competition. Whereas if he had done some simple maintenance, he'd still be in the fight. So how often do you guys maintenance your bearings? What kind of methods do you guys use? Leave a comment down below and let me know what kind of tips and different maintenance things that you guys do for your bearings or for your CV axles, and what are your tried and true methods that you use. Alright, so now we're going to be wiping it down with a Q-tip, just trying to get some of that surface residual off. We're going to move those over to a clean paper towel, so that way we're not picking up any dirt from the paper towel. And as you can see, where the oil is on the paper towel, you can see dirt that's come out of the bearings and moved along. And you can definitely see some dirt on that Q-tip as it's moving around. You know, it's definitely getting dirty. Lots of dirt in there. Now we're gonna use a Q-tip and just wipe down any residual oil that's on the CVs. Try to get a little bit of inside of the ball joint there. Trying to make sure that we don't have like too much fluid. You know, you don't want any of that slinging around inside your shell or all over your chassis, getting on your electronics, anything like that. You know, just overall, it won't collect as much dirt if you wipe it down. You know, as long as everything's moving good and everything's lubricated and cleaned, it'll be fine. And that about wraps it up for today. You know, this is a basic maintenance that we try to do like once a month on our cars, just to make sure everything keeps going smooth. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next week.